Hello everybody and welcome to another video in this series on what to do in the first 5 minutes with an English literature anthology poetry question. Let's imagine your named poem is Tissue, and the question is: compare how poets present ideas about power and control in Tissue and one other poem. Okay, so the first thing to do is reread or scan through the named poem, pen in hand, and to annotate anything you can think of that might be relevant to the question. The title itself is the first thing I'd look at. What is tissue? Well, firstly, it's very thin paper, but it's also the material that we as humans are made up of, human tissue, and both are referred to in this poem. So the two meanings help us bring together the metaphor that human power and control is fragile like tissue paper, and this is an idea explored throughout the poem, but exemplified very simply in the title. Now, in the rest of the poem, there are numerous references to things which hold power and control people, things that are made by humans, buildings, maps, receipts. We as humans give these things power. The capitals and monoliths represent governments and buildings used to control. The maps control through segregating the natural world. The receipts represent the control of money and commerce. All of these things are made by humans, so the symbolism of the image that receipts can fly our lives suggests that money dominates us, it controls us, it has power over us. But look at the rest of the quotation. Receipts can fly our lives like paper kites. The simile suggests these things which control our lives are fragile and easily destroyed. The message here then is that human power and control is weak. And the way the poem is written in free verse with no rhyme or regular rhythm, along with no consistency of syllables per line, could also be significant. As much as humanity tries to order, arrange and control, the poet's structural choices undermine this and suggest that their efforts are futile. And if human power and control is fragile, what is it that has true power? The answer is nature. When we read about the paper maps, the sun, a symbol of nature, overpowers the paper. It shines through it. And this symbolism is further explored with the suggestion that daylight breaks through capitals and monoliths. So daylight, being a symbol of nature, shows how nature has greater power than the things made by humans. And that rereading of the named poem is going to give me my concept that in Tissue, humans try to control and exert power, but ultimately it is nature that is truly powerful. Now, with that in mind, I'll then flick back to the list of poems and browse through each title one by one, considering which poem to compare with that line of argument. Now, obviously, you don't get the other poems in the exam, but you do get the titles, the list of titles, so it's just a good way to go through and think about which one you're going to choose to compare. And let me just point out, it's not that I will now think, okay, is there another poem that uses a title with a double meaning, uses symbolism, uses similes? No, what I want to do is think about my second poem in terms of the idea that human control and power is fragile and nature is truly powerful. The June 2019 exam report pointed out that students who led their analysis through ideas in the poem rather than methods tended to do much better. So that's why I want to follow this approach. So I'm going to look through the poems, and what will I choose? Now, it's quite funny with this one because there are actually a wide variety of poems that would work really well. But I think, for myself personally, all things considered, I would go with Extract from the Prelude, a poem where the speaker initially thinks they're in control and powerful, stealing a boat they proudly describe with grandiose language of an elfin pinnace, and that reflects the power the speaker feels. They think they're in control of the situation. But all of this falls away when the speaker sees the mountain, realizing their own weakness and at the same time the power of nature. They describe it as, and this is from my Power and Conflict poetry rap, a huge peak, black and huge. The ambitious vocabulary of moments before is gone, as the speaker's wide vocabulary has eluded them to the point of repetition with the simple word huge. And now I have my thesis statement, which can also function as an introduction. In both Tissue and extract from the prelude, humans try to control and exert power, but ultimately it is nature that is truly powerful. This is a two-part line of argument, and I'm going to perhaps spend the first half of my answer looking at the sense of human power and control, and the second half looking at how that is undermined through the presentation of nature, and it is nature that is truly powerful. Everything in my answer then becomes part of the theory I'm exploring. Now, of course, I'm not saying this is how you would have to do it. If a question came up about tissue and power and control, all I'm trying to do is show you the sort of process you might go through for that first 5 minutes. If you have a different idea, put it in the comments section, and if you find this series useful, give this video a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel.